All right. April meeting tonight, we're going to learn how to do Peppermills in the crush grind method. Steve Thomason is going to teach us that, and he's also going to be the instructor for next week's class. So,
Yep.
Steve, I'm going to let you take it over.
Okay, thank you much. Okay, crush grind Peppermills. I usually get mine from Craft Supplies. Right now, I think through tomorrow they have $5 shipping. So if you're interested in getting a crush grind mechanism or something, now would be a good time to grab some. I usually buy 20 at a time. I get them for about 15 bucks that way. I think they're normally $16.95. That's for the 10-inch. No, $16.35 for the 10-inch. This is the 18-inch. This one is $16.95. But when I buy 20 of them, I get them for about 15 and a quarter. So a pretty good discount. And then with free shipping, it makes it pretty easy for me. So nice thing about the crush grind Peppermill is I can make one this high, or I can make one this high. So it's actually about this big when I get done with it. Okay. So it's all up to you on how big you want to make it. There's no size limitations other than a little more than 18 inches. Okay. This is the crush grind Peppermill mechanism from Craft Supplies. I hope you all got one of these. This will make a decent peppermill. It's not a great peppermill. And tonight I'm going to show you how you make a great peppermill out of using this almost the same instructions, but we're going to modify these a little bit so that it makes a really great peppermill. First thing you got to do is you got to put a piece of something between centers. I usually use ash. I like ash real well because I can burn it. And I do like burning. I hate sanding. So basically what I'm doing is fire sanding with a torch, okay? It takes the place of a lot of sandpaper and a lot of time. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get the center on this thing. I really like this little center finder. It's got a lot of hefty weight to it, and I can draw all my lines on here. Spin this, draw some more, spin this, draw some more. If it's a square one, I go all four corners with it because I've never seen one that's really square. So I want to get as close to the center as I do. When I got that center, somewhere I have a punch. Got a punch. I don't see it at the moment. Okay, oh, here it is. Yep. Like that. Okay. Yeah, get overhead. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I'll draw a line here. I'll go 90 degrees, draw another line. Then I'll cut both of those in half like that. I've got enough lines on there now that I can pretty much tell you where the center of that spot's going to be. Little spring punch, take it in there, about to the center, punch it down, Harbor Freight, about $6. Okay. This is a high gauging center finder, and it's really a nice one. It's also got all the measurements and everything on it for you. But I'm not going to start with that one. I'm going to start with this one. This one's already been trued and rounded. So we'll bring this up a little bit, maybe. Get it in here in the center. There it goes. If you look at your instructions, I say you round this up, then you put on 3 tenons. First thing I do is I figure out where I want my mill head to be. So I've given it about just a shade under 3 inches. Okay. And that'll make a nice nice ball top for the head. This one's going to be a little over 8 right in here. So make a defining cut here. I do this one and this one. Then you got to do a little bit of specialty work with this one. And you see the angle on that? This does dovetail through there very nicely. So I can pull this back and get that dovetail in here. Okay? Makes it real easy. And then all I have to do is finish parting it off. We'll give that a shot. Well, plus and minus are a little different on this one. I've never used the Laguna lathe, so bear with me. Okay. And we're just going to go ahead and part this one off. Part it off. And I twist it rather than break it. So now we have the mill head, now we have the mill body. I usually like to start with the body first rather than Craft Supplies. In their instructions, they start with the mill head. I usually wait and do that later, but I do want to do this one. And those I've got them marked top and bottom. So we'll put this bottom in here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to drill a hole in the top down about halfway. This is where I disagree with Craft Supplies. They tell you to do a 1 1/16 inch hole. I don't do a 1 1/16 inch hole. I've done them when I first started, but when you do that, you get a lot of wobble in the ball up here at the top. I don't like a wobble in my Peppermills. That ball should be sitting firmly up there, enough that you can get pepper coming out the bottom just fine, and yet this is not wiggling around. If you do a 1 1/16 inch hole, it's too big. I do a 1 inch hole. If you measure, this is what goes into the top. This piece has to fit in that 1 inch hole. And if you measure this, this is just a hair over 1 inch. And if you go 1 1/16, it's going to really be sloppy in there. So I do one inch, and then I do a little bit of sanding, and this will slide right in. Okay. So we're going to do got new drill bits. These are carbide drill bits. work real well. I've been real happy with them. I've got these from Grizzly. I priced them Grizzly and I priced them at Amazon. Amazon had a little bit lower, a little bit higher price on everything, but then you got free shipping. With Grizzly, you don't get free shipping, but their pricing was so much lower that it was worth buying it from Grizzly. So that's where I got them from. And then they come in a blister pack. It says 1 3/4 on the blister pack. What was in the blister pack was about a 3/4 inch. So I went and looked at it and said, and the pack said 1 3/4 inches, but it wasn't what was actually in it. So I called Grizzly right away and they shipped me out a new one, no questions asked. So they were real responsive, which is nice. All right, we're going to slow the wave down some. We get about 500 RPM. When I do this, I want to see these teeth going in here on the end, and I want to let that settle in there before I really start cranking on it. I'm going a little too fast. Slow that down a little bit more. There we go. Just drill bit back some. You need to clean those chips out of there, especially if you're using a standard drill bit, because you can get that in there to a point where it'll lock in there and you won't get it out. You'll end up sawing it in half to get your drill bit out. So always bring it back. Don't go all the way in with it all at once like that. Because this is a carbide, I can usually get away with it. And remember, these things are sharp and they're also hot. Yeah, I do. I have an extension. We'll do an extension on the other end. I only need this to go down so far. I don't need it. It's down to about here right now. So that's plenty far enough. Okay. I actually could probably only go down that far for the top part of it. The only reason I want to do that is because I want that 1 inch hole at the top. I can do the 1 1/16 all the way up. Gives you a little bit more room for peppercorns. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay. Okay. Now we can turn it around. Okay, we don't need this tenon anymore. We're done with this tenon. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll just take that tenon off. Always stop the wave before you move your headstock. I did. I stopped it. When you remember. Well, I'm doing a demo, so I try and remember. I'm too high. Okay. We'll get a little tailstock support here. So it doesn't make noises at us. Well, that thing's not running true. Yeah, well. Go the other way. Yeah, we'll make it run true. I'm just using the bowl gouge to turn that away. We'll chew this thing up a little bit. This is called a spindle roughing gouge that I'm using, but I'm not using it as a spindle roughing gouge. I'm using it as a skew. That's a skew surface. If you look at the bevel on a spindle roughing gouge, it has exactly the same bevel that's on a skew. All you have to do is use it like a skew. Instead of presenting it to the wood like this, present it at a 45-degree angle, or at least a 30-degree angle. And you'll take that bevel, you'll rub that bevel. Once you get a cut, it'll just slide right down there, and it will do a slicing cut rather than a roughing cut. If you're a new turner, I highly recommend that you look at a couple of YouTube videos from a gentleman named Mark Sillay. It's S-I-L-L-A-Y. He does I think there's 3 YouTube videos on wood slicing. And he'll teach you to use these tools correctly. And it makes a difference when you do that. Okay, now we're going ahead and drill this piece. We're going to start with a 1 3/4 inch drill bit. And it tells you to drill this 5/8 inch deep. And when I measure this from the tip back, the back of the, it's just almost right back to this right here. So I'll go just a shade deeper than that. I want mine a little bit deeper than 5/8. Not a lot, just a little. I don't have to worry about that center because I'm going to drill it out anyway. And again, when I get close to that, when I get close to these out here touching, I want to wait till they just start touching so I can see the line. And once I get a good line in there, so I know it's drilling say straight, I'll go ahead. Oops. I went a little too fast on it. As long as I got shavings coming out, I'm good. All right, I'm just shade past that top of that. So we'll do a little quick measuring. Make sure I'm at least 5/8. And I am as exactly 5/8. So we'll go back in and do just a little bit more. I want about one more rotation. And that is about 3/4. That's fine. Then we do 1 9/16. This and this inside in here will be able, everybody will be able to see that. So when we get done with this, we're going to want to sand this and clean it up a little bit. Okay. The rest of this drilling, nobody's ever going to see it. Before I do that, I better show you what I'm doing. Okay, this one it says to drill 1.5 inches deep. So I can measure from here about 1.5 inches back. And there's a mark about 1/4 of an inch further than that. So I know I need to go past up to about 1/4 of an inch to that line that's on there. Okay. It's only going to go in about 1.5 inches. Okay. And if you look at that on their instructions, I've got mine marked from here to here is actually 2 1/8 inches. Okay. You can't measure 1.5 inches from inside here. Can't do it. So you need the whole, you had to measure from inside there where you stop to out here, and that's going to be 2 1/8. Okay. Obviously, this lathe does not have the same torque as mine does. but then I am spoiled. I started out with a MIDI lathe, a Delta MIDI lathe. And when I finally decided I am outgrowing it, I need something a little bigger, I started looking at lathes. And then I ran into SWAT. And I went down to SWAT and I started looking at all these lathes they had for sale down there. I was amazed. And then I found the American Beauty. And I said, now there's a lathe. And then I looked at the price. Needless to say, I had sticker shock. So we came home, my wife and I came home, and I spent the next year just kind of pricing and dickering and looking, and I was just about decided that I was going to buy a Powermatic. I figured it was better than the Jet, but you know, it's Powermatic. It ought to last me. And then my wife said, I don't care what you buy. I don't care what it costs. You're going to get one upgrade. So whatever it is you buy, that's it. Don't come back to me 2 or 3 years from now and say, oh, I wish I'd have bought such and such. I said, yes, dear. So I said, I'm buying a robust American Beauty. So I started saving my pennies, nickels, and dimes, and dollars, and pennies, and 20s, and 50s, and hundreds. And in July the next year, I said, that's it. I'm going to buy me that. I'm going to order that American Beauty. And one of our club members is a dealer. So I called Steve and said, I want to buy an American Beauty. And he said, great. There's a show special. If you buy it now and they deliver it to you at SWAT, no shipping. I figured that'll save me about $350 in shipping. Also, we get an upgrade to a 3-horse motor. That saved me another $175. So he said, the only problem is they may want to use it in one of the rooms, so it might have a couple hours of use on it. I don't care. That's fine. So they didn't use it at SWAT. They set it out there in their booth. And the only thing I had to do was to wipe all the drool off of it because everybody kept coming by and drooling all over my brand new lathe. And if you know anything about them, the start-stop button is on a cord that you can move it around the lathe. And the first thing you do is that makes your lathe is that control button. They put your name on a piece of tape and they put it right on that thing and they Steve Thomason right on there, put it on that lathe. And then they built the rest of the lathe around it. So I think I got a great deal on it. But the funny thing of it is I had an uncle that I didn't even know existed. He lived in California all of his life. Apparently he was my grandfather's brother that I didn't know anything about. My grandfather died when I was a young teenager. I was about 14. And this gentleman was Woodrow Thomason. And he died without a will. So the executors of his estate found all the people related to him, and I was one of the about 40 people. And they sent me a check for just about what I was paying for the American Beauty. So my lathe is named Uncle Woody, after Woodrow Thomas. Okay, I think we're down to where we need to be on this one. I go a little bit deeper than 1 1/8. I want to make sure or 2 1/8. No, I'm right at about 2 1/16. So I need to go just a shade deeper on that one. Okay, yeah, I'm almost 2 1/4 now. That's fine. Those two measurements are not real critical. you can go over that. Don't ever go under it. If you go under that, what'll happen is you put your mechanism in there and it'll stick out the bottom and it won't sit flat. So a little deeper is okay, but don't ever shorten it, okay? Okay, now we're ready to go to the 1 1/16 drill bit that we were supposed to use coming in. But I think I'll use this one. This is 1 1/16, okay? I usually have an air hose next to my lathe and I just blow this out. Well, I had to bring my portable one with me today. Now this is bigger than the one on the top, so it'll still keep drilling even when we're all the way through, but I'll feel it. I'll know exactly when we go through. I'm not quite there yet. Really? I thought we were there. Let's take a look. Yeah, we got to be all the way through. Feels like it. We'll find out. Nope, we're not all the way through. Okay. We'll drill a little bit more. There, now we're all the way through. I can feel that one. And there's always a little bit. I didn't see it come out, but there's usually a little round piece that pops out of there. But we're all the way through now. Okay, we've got the drilling done for the mechanism. Now what we need to do is shape this, okay? First thing I want to do is I want to sand inside here a little bit, clean that up. And well, before I get anything too much, I'm gonna go ahead and I will sand in there later, but I need to make the shape. Hello. Okay. Okay. This is the top. This is the bottom. So I want to put a curve in here. Now I've got a 1 3/4 inch hole in here. So I got to be careful how deep I go down here. And remember that comes out about 2 1/8 inches. Okay. Those bigger holes. So now I can make a curve coming in. And again, I'm wood slicing. I'm not using this as a roughing gouge. And I want the smoothest cut I can get because, like I said, I hate sanding. And I know I've got a 1-inch hole in here. Okay, I can get my hand well around that, not a problem. And I think most of your ladies would be able to get your hand around that as well. Okay. Let me see how thick we are. And we're about 1 3/4 of an inch thick here. And I got a 1-inch hole in there. So I got about 1/4 inch on either side. Right. It's going to be from where I drilled the hole to the outside, I guess about 3/8 right now. Okay. Wall thickness. Yeah. Yeah. About 3/8. Okay. Okay. So I've got it turned to the shape I want. I got a little line right here. I want that to go away. Easiest way to do that. A little bit of 120 sandpaper. And the line's gone. That's the only sanding I'm doing on this. Okay. Now I do want to sand down here. I also want to turn this over. I don't want that square corner right there. Okay. And I need to do some work down inside this. So, I should have a bowl gouge here somewhere. Yep. All I'm going to do is take this corner off. Just a little bit. That's it. Let's this may have to do 2 sandpapers on this one. Leave that corner again a little bit. This one in here as well. I want to sand the inside because this is what people's going to see. So I want it smooth. $120. That's all the sanding I need to do. Okay. Now we need to turn this around. Craft Supplies says to make a jam chuck, and turn it around this way on a jam chuck. I don't do that. I've tried it, it works. But I hate fussing with a jam chuck because you're always taking little bits off and little bits off, and you got to get it fit just exactly right or it's not going to hold. I happen to use an easy wood chuck. When I first started in wood turning, I went to lots of my friends' houses and I looked at lots of lathes and lots of shops, and I saw lots of chucks. And I said, how come you have so many chucks? Well, I'm lazy. I hate taking 8 screws out and putting 8 screws back in so I can change jaws. Okay. I don't take 8 screws out and put 8 screws in. I can change them just like that. And that's the beauty of an easy wood chuck. Now, I'm not gonna crank that down real tight. I'm gonna get it tight enough that it's gonna hold. But I'm doing it with my weakest hand, which is my left hand. I'm a right-handed person, so I do it with my left hand. And it's tight, but it's not gonna, so it's not gonna go anywhere. This is not my normal, I usually use a cone center to do this with, but we'll do it with this one tonight. I'm gonna take a spindle gouge. I'm gonna get rid of that tenon. Try that again. And it won't make any difference. Thanks, Ken. Remember, I got a 1-inch hole in here. So all I gotta do is get down to that. Okay. That's the problem. I didn't lose it. Looks like it's just came off. It's loosened. Let's see if this one will work. Okay. That one's too big. That one's too big. And I don't have one that's going to fit it. I don't think. Yeah, we'll hope that holds it.
What's your opinion about the newest?
Hmm?
What's your opinion about the newest?
Well, this one needs a little tune-up. I can tell you that. It's a nice lathe. There's nothing wrong with it, other than, set screw here is loose. They have the plus and minus on the speed. To me, it's wrong. I mean, it's right. You turn it that way to go up and this way to go down, but it says plus on this side and minus on that side. So you would think you'd go over to minus, the little dot should go to minus to make it go down. That's wrong. It goes up over with minus. So that's backwards to me. Just, it's different. Every lathe is a little bit different. You just have to get used to whatever it is you're using. All right, see if I can get this to run true or not. Yeah, maybe. Nope. Imagine if I was on a jam chuck. It would have come way off and gone way out over there. That's why I don't like jam chucks. All right, we're not going to worry about that right at the moment. Pardon? I might take it off with a parting tool. I can try it. And I want that a little bit concaved anyway. So I'm coming back and going in on a little bit of an angle. I'll just clean it up for now. And that one's done. Now, I do want to open that hole up so I can get the top of my peppermill head inside there. And it's not going to fit. It's just a little bit too. Also, if you remember, I did a 1 1/16 inch hole up here and a 1 inch hole down to about here. So I can feel that inside here right now. Now, nobody in the world would care about that except for another wood turner. Another wood turner is the only one that's ever going to put your finger inside of a peppermill to see if it's smooth inside. Okay. So I have a fix for that. I have a sanding stick. Nice and smooth now. And I can almost get that in there. All right, it goes in, but it's tight. I want it to go in and be able to turn. There we are. Right there. That's where I want it. It goes in and it turns. There's no slop, no play in there whatsoever. And that's the way I want it. Okay. You see when you put this in, there's this head sticks out. If you get it too small, it's not going to fit inside. It's going to bump up to the top. You're going to be looking like that, and that's wrong. You don't want that. If it doesn't go down inside like that, now you can't see it. It's in there, but it's pressed in to that hole, and it's not going to wiggle back and forth. There's just almost no wiggle, which to me makes a whole lot nicer peppermill. Okay, especially if I'm giving this as a gift. I want this to come to somebody that is going to appreciate it and it's going to last forever for them. These things can be passed down for generations. And you can put salt in them, you can put pepper in them, you can put spices in them. There's no metal parts, it's all ceramic. You can adjust the grind here on the bottom to make it. Right now you can't hear it at all. I'll make a couple adjustments. And you hear it now. Another adjustment. Now you can really hear it. Okay. So it's just a matter of changing the little knob on the bottom to make this work. Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to do a quick lid. I've timed this with my friends. I can change the jaws on the Easy Wood chuck faster. They can undo the chuck that they've got on there, take it over, put it away, grab the chuck with the right jaws on it, bring it back over to the lathe, and get it back on and tighten it up. So, yeah, Easy Wood chuck cost me a little bit more than what a standard chuck would cost me, but I only have to have one chuck for all this stuff. Now, I have more than one chuck, believe me, but I got by with this chuck for probably 4 years before I really needed it. No, it's the most tools. Sorry. He who has the most tools wins, right? Yeah, if you remember where you put them all. I got the fix for that too. I have a little 3D printer that I print threads for the chuck and mount them on the wall. And just spin the chuck on that threaded 3D printed thing. I've got a little 3D printed chuck holder, and I can just drop the chuck right into it. It sits right beside each chuck. So it works. I don't need a big one for this. I need a little one for this one. I like taking classes with Michael Hoslick. He's a wonderful teacher. But every time I take a class with a man, first thing he does is give me a block of wood and say, here, make a ball. After about the second time he did that to me at the second class, I said, don't they make a jig for that? He said, yeah, but today you're the jig. So thanks to Michael, I've learned to make balls. And it does come in handy when you're going to do a round shape on the top of a peppermill. Now, you don't have to do a round shape. I've seen rounded tops with a scoop inside and it's kind of like that, the round piece, works just fine. Okay. Personally, I like a ball, so that's what I do. Now, I'm not going to do an exact ball because an exact ball doesn't really work too well. I just want a round top that'll fit nicely in your hand. And it's something that's coming down a little bit into the peppermill. You know what? I just did the wrong thing. I missed a step. I needed to put a 15/16 hole in this end. This is the bottom of the peppermill, not the top. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna get that in there or not. Can't tighten that down. Okay. Whoops. Yeah, the set screw's in there, it just won't tighten up. I don't, yeah, it's got a flat spot, but it's supposed to go right there, but you gotta have something to screw it in with.
Let me see what that is. Let me see that. I'll go find something.
Go find something. Okay. But you saw how I was turning the ball anyway, so we're going to skip that part because we only got a short time left. I want to get into the fun part. 1.5 inches. Okay. Now you can go a little deeper. Doesn't make any difference. Just remember there is a limit to how far you can go because you got the top of the ball going to come around over there. Okay. If you do greenwood, you can get away with doing greenwood. I did this one. This is Great Basin poplar. The only place I've ever been able to find it is at Craft Supplies. They have it once or twice a year. It sells out almost immediately, and then they don't have it anymore. So last time they had it, I bought 8 peppermill blanks. Okay. It's gorgeous wood. It's got a figure that you can't believe in it, but it was green. I donated one of these to Empty Bowls, so I didn't have one, and I wanted another one. So I went ahead and rough turned it, drilled in here, and then I made counter boring drill bits. This took about a 1/4 inch drill bit and drilled this way, this way, this way, and this way on the inside to relieve any stresses after I drilled out the mechanism for the head. Okay. And then let it set for a week in my dryer, and everything was fine. We're not gonna... Oh, much better. Okay. I usually do this, well, I do this in my shop sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I do this outside on my patio with a couple concrete blocks. But for my demos, I'll do it in here. We just have to make a few safety adjustments in order to do it. No, I don't think so. I think we're good. If you could grab that broom over there and get rid of these shavings underneath right here for me. Thank you. Basically, we have a peppermill. We're done with it. We got the head, we got this turned. You can put a finish on it, call it a peppermill. That's what I've done with these. Where you at? This one is chocolate drizzle myrtle. This comes from Oregon. Not sure what this one is. There's been some, it's spalted something. This is my one I keep on my dining room table. It's full of rock salt. So I have salt and pepper on the table. This one I haven't used actually. But we're basically done with it. but I want to go to this. Okay. This is my favorite peppermill to make. And we just got to go on a little bit, do some, this is turned. Now we got to do the burn and then the embellishment and the dye. Okay. So I just so happen to have a MAPS gas torch and a silicone mitt so I don't burn my hand. If you look at the grain of this wood, can you get a close-up from the overhead pin? I want you to see the red glow from the veins of the wood. That's what I'm looking for. Once those veins glow red, I'm where I want to be on the burn. Yeah, hold it this way away from the bench. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing a nice red glow in almost all of that. I'm going to get this a little bit down in here. Just remember, this is going to show too. Okay. Yeah. But I wasn't turning a peppermill there. Not that day. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to brush the ash out of here. That lets these veins that are all, we're all here a few minutes ago. Yeah, this is a liming brush. I hunted high and low for a liming brush, and I never did find one in the United States. I had to order it from England. I got it from Amazon from England. It took me a week and a half before it showed up. No, mine didn't. Mine came from England. It's the only place I could find it.
The liming brush is a leather suede shoe brush.
Yep. But it, yes, I've got one of those as well. Like this.
Yeah, don't use the steel.
Don't use the steel, only use the brass. You can do the same thing with the brass brush. It just takes a little longer with the brass brush. And it, yeah, steel will scratch it up terribly. And you really don't want to do that. But I use this liming brush and it really does a nice job. And you can see all the ash that's coming off. And I'm not going to mess with much more of it because we need to get going. Now, I guess I'm going to need this. before you put your dyes on this, you got to let this cool. If you don't let it cool, what will happen is what's happened to this one. This one was put on a black wax over the burn. And then I put red Jimmy Clue's wax into the grooves. But you can look at it very closely. You'll be able to see some of the red. But it just faded out to nothing because it was too hot. And it just pretty much melted it and went away. Okay? So I never do that. I've got this one. It's already been turned and burned. And we're ready to use it. This. Remember, that's hot. We'll let it cool off. No, I didn't.
I was gonna take a safety pin and pin it to his back.
Okay. I do recommend that you wear gloves when you're doing dyeing of any kind. Now, this one I want to do like this. So we're going to put a black wax on it first, and then we'll come back with a white wax over top of that. If I wanted to do this one, at this point, I would take a negative rake scraper and I would scrape this back so the only black part was the lines. I want bare wood all the way through here. And then I'll come in with red dye, and I use Transtit red dye straight from the bottle. I do not dilute it. And bring the red into it, and it comes up very pretty. You can do blue or green or whatever you want, but remember, you're going to have all that black underneath it. Okay, so you can use shoe polish, they tell me, but I already bought this years and years ago. Probably, probably been close to 100 Peppermills with this, and I still got plenty of it left. So it lasts a long time. We're just going to put a coat of black wax on this. The nice thing about these jaws, and I know I have a step in here. I can find that step, and it gives me enough room to do the bottom. Okay, we got the black wax on there. Okay, I'll wrap it up here in just a minute. All I'm going to do is polish it. That's it. And then I'm going to use some of Jimmy Clue's embellishing wax. And you want to push this down into the grain all the way through. So that you get a good coating and work that black wax or that. So this is called pearl. No, it's a small cloth. Usually I start with the small cloth, and by the time I get done, the small cloth goes up here, and I end up using my finger because I think it really does a better job. Because I really want to get this down into all of those little dents that I've created in there with the burning of it. And you got to go back and forth. You go with the grain a lot, you're going to find you don't get it in the grain, so it rubs it down into the grain. So, and this wax comes in all kinds of different colors. Woodworld's the place to buy it. I think it's $20 a jar. This is about my second or third. I think this is my third jar. I'm getting down on it. No, I don't. Okay, I'll take it off. I'm so used to wearing a mask. I have a power cap that I wear in my shop, and it's constantly blowing air in my face. And I bought a Trend air shield quite a few years ago, and I really tried to use it. I really tried. I just couldn't do it. It was too heavy and it's too cumbersome for me. I don't know about you all, but after wearing that for about a half an hour, my neck hurt. I mean, I had a neck ache. So when I found that power cap down at SWAT several years ago, I bought one, and I've never regretted it. I wear it. If I'm in my shop, I'm wearing it. That's, I mean, I wouldn't think of sharpening the tool without it on, because that metal dust is a whole lot worse for you than the wood dust. Okay, we got it on there. I got a cap somewhere. There it is. I leave the cloth in the jar. That way I've always got it with me. Now all I'm going to do is polish. Turned, burned, dyed,
Susan, mute your mic.
embellished. Okay. Yep. I use it for other things. I haven't tried it on this. I've been doing this before the Hampshire sheen stuff ever came out. And it's always worked really well for me. So I like using it. It does a good job of lacquer on this. I have string about that long, got a metal hook on one end, and it's got a wooden matchstick tied to the other end. And that matchstick has been cut so that it just fits between this, in between this groove and this groove. Okay? I pop that in there and drop the hook down, and I can hang it up, and then I can spin it and just spray lacquer with it. My preferred spray lacquer, I've tried every one that I can find. I used DEF for a long time. DEF has a different spray pattern to it, and I don't like it. It comes out either too heavy, or you get far enough away from it, it's just uncontrollable. So I've gone with Barron's lacquer. The only place I've ever found it was online from Ace Hardware, and you have to buy 6 cans at a time. But Barron's, it comes out, instead of a spray pattern, it comes out in a cloud. It's just a fine mist is the way it comes out, just a cloud about that big around. And I can spray that on, and it just coats it beautifully. About 3 to 4 coats, it's completely sealed, and it looks great. Okay? Any questions? Okay, boss. Thank you.